Hi everybody, welcome to our Effective Strategies webinar from Writing Legends. My name is Anita Knight. I'm a teacher based in Auckland in New Zealand, and I'm currently teaching Year 6 students. I've been working alongside the Writing Legends team to help write some of the content for writing prompts within the program, and very encouraged to get on and join in with you to share some of my experiences and guide you a little bit around the use of the program, and hopefully we can cover a lot of things tonight. It would be great to use the chat for two purposes. One, to just let me know you're there and everything's going okay for you, as well as putting any questions, and I hope to use some of the time to answer your questions. So please feel free to drop a quick hi in there now and let me know maybe where you are sitting at the moment, where you are based, and we'll go from there. Okay, we're not getting any messages through here, so maybe something's. Oh, hello, Tanya. Great. So we've got someone that's made it onto there. So I know that someone's listening in there. I've got a few more. Just if you can say where you are. Oh, great. Thank you. Hi, Carolyn. That's lovely to have you in. And Jodie from Melbourne. Fantastic, Jeff. Excellent. Oh, that's great. Oh, Scotland. Wow. Very cool, Kieran. And Angela. Fantastic. Wollongong, oh wow, that's very exciting. And Ireland, that's awesome. Thanks so much, everybody. It's lovely to since I can't actually see you, just to get those little snapshots of where you are in the world and build our teaching base. Okay, so yeah, feel free to put a question in there, and I will try my best to get to that question as our session goes. I'm going to cover 4 areas today, and that is around introducing activities that really enhance the writing experience and students' responses. I'm also going to look at setting activities to really connect with what your teaching programs are looking like. Then we'll look at how to build vocabulary and how the program can enhance students' use of vocabulary through the data that the program generates, as well as then using the replay tool that's built in to support editing and reflecting on writing. So we'll start off with introducing activities. Before we go into that, some of you may well be logged in, have a class registered, and starting to play with the program already. Some of you may be a little new to that, and there is going to be further webinars and recorded webinars around getting started. So jump onto one of those or find a pre-recording of those to help you if you're wanting that first step into the program. Okay, so on to the introducing activities to enhance. So I'm sharing my screen with you, and I'm taking you straight to the teacher homepage. Now this page for the students and the teachers looks very, very similar. Now if we look at the homepage, every 2 weeks the students are provided with the opportunity to do 4 quick writes and a full write, which is referring to a full writing process piece. Every 2 weeks they change and refresh to new ones, but the students at any time can go back to previous weeks to writing that they may have been working on. They have their own portfolio that guides them to those what they've already been writing on as well, but those are there for new ideas every 2 weeks, so we can decide how we would like to use that front page. So when we present ideas around writing for quick writes or full writes within that 2-week period, we can use this homepage to really motivate their experience by deciding how much of a guidance we want to give them at the start and how much we want to just let them loose with a small prompt. So here are some of the things that we can help them with. So if we look at a particular quick write, such as Cynthia, we can see that when I open Cynthia up, I can show the students the prompt. It could be up on my big screen in the classroom in our remote learning scenario that we have currently happening around the world. It would be sharing your screen like I'm doing today. So we can show the students that prompt. We can also help them to read samples that have been written regarding that same prompt. And we want to offer them the diversity of ideas. So here are a couple of ideas, one in a diary format and one that is in a more of a narrative with a lot of dialogue. So the students can visualize what it can look like that. Also, there is a podcast available. So again, depending on how much guidance we want to give them at the start or motivation, we can use these tools. So in this case, we have some enthusiastic people talking about the writing that they've done and, or others that students have done, and also critiquing each other's writing and giving that real feel that writing is about being shared, it is to be shared and talked about and critiqued, talk about the challenges of it. So I'll give you a quick snapshot now.
This activity is called Cynthia. The aim is to write about Cynthia the crocodile's bad day, using the words lonely, misunderstood, and tears.
How about you start with your story, Jen?
Sure. There's a lot of dialogue in this one. Can you help me out with some of the characters?
Yeah, definitely.
Today was the worst day Cynthia had ever had. Nobody understood her, and all the other animals in the swamp were scared of her, and she didn't know why. Is it my big sharp teeth, she pondered, or my scaly slimy skin?
Perhaps it's both.
Her friend Mr. Frog ribbited.
But they're all so silly and judgmental, you should ignore them.
Okay, and so when they get to the end of that writing, they have this beautiful discussion about it. Now there's up to 3 different ones that they read out, and that again offers the students just an idea of just the vast way they could write about that topic, the real diverse way that people can interpret one particular prompt. So they're available on that front screen. Also down below are the trending words. Now this helps the students to see that they're part of a bigger picture. They're in a community of authors that go beyond themselves or their class, because these trending words have come from students that are writing from anywhere in any classroom. And we can see a little snapshot at the bottom, Isabel, for example, and just it's not the whole thing, it's just a snapshot of what she's written, and then Lucas. So we can really get a little taste of how others have started. So students can have that in the beginning of the writing, and then they can get going with the writing. Now, if we go into Cynthia, we can see that because my class is writing, actually I might just go back into one of the other ones just to show you for a moment. If we're going to the cabin, because my students started writing just before we went into lockdown, we had a lovely couple of weeks exploring and experiencing writing legends. I've got some data within here that I can show you. So the cabin, another quick write, when we actually go into it, we start getting data that's around what our class has generated. So this word cloud is related to the writing that's been happening from the students in my class recently. We can look at the length of how many words we've been writing. We can see the nouns that have been used. And we can see the verbs that are being generated as well. If we move down a little bit further, you can see that there are individual responses. And it's up to you as a teacher whether you would like to model those, talk through those, or just get the kids exciting. Like I would read out a quick part of one, and a head would turn around and say, hey, that's mine. And they got so excited about the idea that I could watch their writing in real time. So you can show the name of the student. So that's me, the sample student that I wrote a little bit. Or you can hide the names and have those as just so you can bring something up, say, look at the ways that different people have started in our class. Or let's have a look at some treasure words that we can see on the screen at the moment. So that's really great that as they write, they see the writing being generated and they really get a sense of being a community of authors. Okay, I'm just checking in. Hopefully everyone's hearing okay and it's coming through fine for you. I'm going to move on now and just talk to you a little bit more about from that class review that we just saw then. Just sorry, one moment. I'll just get the class review there. How we can then look at setting activities that suit what we as teachers want to be doing in the classroom at a certain time. So we go back to that home page. Research tells us that when children have choice in their writing, their motivation is enhanced. So the idea of that front page, having those quick writes and full writes available and it changing, refreshing every 2 weeks is really quite a neat thing if we want to give them a bit more free rein on choice. As well as that, the students have the opportunity to, in their own profile, click on particular additional activities and work in something that's very motivating for them or relates to what they're doing in class. So you have the ability to also guide children towards particular topics. With the time that I've spent in the program, I've done that verbally in some cases. I've said to the students, let's all look at writing in our books, a holiday, the best holiday ever. And then when we go on to writing legends, we'll do the holiday disaster. So you can see that in my reports, I've got holiday disaster. It's a narrative, and that 16 of my students have written from there. I can go into the class review, which is what I just showed you before with what's generated by my class. And then I can go into the individual students writing there. On the reports, and I can do that also with the student reports where I can go in and see what they're writing in particular. So when I go back to this, you can see these tags help me to know which of the different text types each of the tasks are, and I can actually set those for the students so that I can make that what I want them to write. So if we go into one such as fortunately, let me look at one. Yeah, we can go into fortunately, unfortunately here. You can see I have a button over here that allows me to set a student's task. I'd like Aidan to work on fortunately, unfortunately. I think he might really enjoy that text type. I can choose it individually like this, or if I scroll down to the bottom, I can see that I can set all the students in my class that particular writing activity. Okay, let's move on to setting. So we're talking about setting activities to align with our teaching program. So we've talked about choice within that. Another way to give you a bit of an overview is if and this will be coming into the students' writing, into the teacher's dashboard, not just in the students, but if I just go in now as a student, okay, and I go up to this button called additional activities, you get a bit of an overall look at the different text types and the categories that are available when you're not particularly setting a task or using only that front page. Now, when you set a task on their home page, a to-do comes up that allows the student to know that you've set a task you'd like them to focus on. So you can see if you go into one such as the narratives, there are some different choices within that for the students. And yes, there is fiction and non-fiction available. Okay. Just looking at my notes to make sure I'm covering all the things I wanted to share with you today. Okay. All right, so what we might move on to now is how the vocabulary can really be developed through the use of writing legends. Now, it's really important to know that the program is evolving all of the time, and that the more data that we generate as our students start to use the program, the more we start to get a sense of what their language is like and how they're developing as writers. We'll start seeing trends, such as what really sets a sophisticated writer apart from others. What actual words are they using more often than other students? So this data is going to become available for us as teachers, so we can really start to critique and understand a student's writing or a class writing or a trend of writers. So we'll go into, I'm going to go back now into, I'll stay in the student one. And I'll just show you the word wall. So we talk about vocabulary. So a child is writing, they have a portfolio that gives them a snapshot of what they've been writing. You can see that these are the pieces that me as a sample writer have had a turn at, and great idea to make yourself a student sample to help you play with the program. You can see the ticks, so where Mrs. Knight, their teacher's gone in and given them feedback so far, and you can see how long ago those students were writing. So with those bits of writing, there is the word wall. So in the word wall, it gives me further understanding of my vocabulary as a user. So here's some new words that I have been using recently and how I've used them in sentences. So I'm celebrating the fact that I've really started to build my vocabulary, and I can see it being recognised here in the program. If I go into language gems, other examples of fantastic language that I've chosen to use, and it's celebrating the fact that the different parts of speech are in my writing. So adjectives there, I'm looking at words that come from a sophisticated word list, and words instead of saying said, so that the students can see that that's really important to be able to keep trying to build their vocabulary. There are terrific alternatives. So instead of using a word that's maybe safe and easier to spell, etc., they might have been a bit more adventurous and chosen a terrific alternative. And then the punctuation starts to give them a picture of what they're using and examples of it. Now, sometimes they may be incorrect use, but we're going to celebrate their experimenting with punctuation as well. What's very cool when you go down to the bottom of is that you get a profile. So it shows the students the language in alphabetical order, or we can put it into frequency of words that they're using. And you can see that words such as the get a high frequency rate, where words like unfortunately are less of a frequency rate, but still have been used 5 times in their writing. Possible spelling mistakes are highlighted in a different colour, and I've been playing around and doing just typing, so there's a few errors in there, and so it gives the students an idea about their vocabulary. And in the teacher one, it's similar, but you're seeing it from a teacher perspective. All right, so we're going to go back into the teacher one now, and we'll have a quick look at that vocabulary, and then we'll move on to how the replay can help encourage editing and reflecting. Okay, just while I'm setting that up, I'm just having a quick look to see if any questions have been posted to keep my brain in gear. When you set a task, does it save to the student's homepage in addition to the 4 quick writes and full script? Yes, so they stay there and they're available for the student to use, but they're getting this notification from you as a teacher to say, hey, there's one that I'd really like you to focus on. It's a to-do on your homepage. Okay, so if we go to the vocabulary within the teacher page, we're now looking at class level generation of language. We've got those same headings, new words, language gems, terrific alternatives, and punctuation. We can see how many words our students have been writing, and of that, how many unique words they've used. Then the frequency of commonly used words, which is 80% of all our words, and then the less common words. And you can see then we've got samples from different students. Smurty in my class has been loving the program and been writing lots in the last few days, even though she's on holiday. And you can see that I can use those examples of how she's brought words like further, brow, furrow, glance into her writing. Language gems, same thing, and we can see it from a student point of view as samples as well. So that vocabulary bank from a student point of view or a class point of view really helps our writing discussions. So I'll move on to now when we use replay. So as a teacher, probably the way that is quickest for me to keep an idea of where my children are at with their writing and keep on top of checking in with them would be going into the activities tab. This allows me to see when someone wrote, what was the text type they used, or the writing activity that they used. And these ticks are very valuable for me because they let me know the ones that I've gone in and given them some feedback. So I can see that, again, as I was mentioning, Smoothie's been loving her writing and carrying on in the last few days. Azana's in their writing as well, and they've done a mix. So Smoothie's been doing a full write recently, and she's went back into her holiday disaster one, which was from a couple of weeks ago. Great to see that. And then we can see some other quick writes have been written on recently. All right, so the replay. So if we go into one like Entranced, and this is a quick write, I can see that it's a 10-minute task. The students have every opportunity to carry on writing, especially if they're really keen, but it allows me to see what 10 minutes looks like. So at the moment, this is the full writing that Smoothie has done, and if I put that across, you can see it shortened a little bit, and that gives me a 10-minute snapshot. So I'm getting an idea of that fluency. She chose to go on for a little bit longer, and so I can see still at any point what 10 minutes looks like. This is the replay mode. This allows me to watch the student write. So you can see at the moment, I am watching her typing and her fluency. In the case of Smoothie, I can see she's actually really quite decisive about her ideas. Her typing is quite fluent. She goes back and fixes up little spelling attempts as she writes, but she's really confident to fluently use punctuation, such as the commas in the sentence she's on at the moment. Does she stop for a moment then to maybe finish a longer sentence, make it not too long? So yeah, that gives me a little idea of what she looks like as a writer when I'm not looking over her shoulder. If I go into another student, I'm going to just pop down. I can go through the reports to do this and go straight to a student report and bring up a child. In fact, I'll do that to show you that way. So I'm going to go into student reports, and I'm going to go into Austin's. So Austin's done 4 pieces of writing, and let's have a look at what it looks like when he's writing. All right, so we put the replay on for him. And we can actually see that he is probably slightly less fluent. He goes back quite often and changes phrases rather than just a word. In that case, went right back and rechanged that very first opening. So maybe lots of ideas in his head, possibly needs to plan more often in writing to support him before he starts. But it gives me a different look at his writing than maybe what I see when it's a finished product or in a book. Okay. Well, they are the 4 categories that I wanted to cover with you today. And so I'd like to open up to any questions now. I realise we've gone over our time. So if you need to leave and head off to do other things, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It is recorded and it's available for you to show your colleagues. And as I mentioned, also there is a webinar that we're putting out called Getting Started, just to get classes logged in and you getting your own account sorted with you being registered, your student names in there, and the different options you have to set up. Okay, so I'm going to try and answer some of those questions now. All right, so Sarah, yep, so the Getting Started will be great for you, but also support at Writing Legends is always available to ask questions around that. So there are 2 ways, just in a nutshell. You can, if you have Google Classrooms, when you register as a teacher, it ask you whether you want you to sign in using your Google Classrooms account. If you do that, sorry, Yvette, I'm not sure how to get you back in. I'll keep seeing if I can find an option for that. So you can go in and it asks you and prompts you to sync your class or classes through Google Classrooms. And then a generated list of your class will come up. You won't receive logins through Writing Legends and passwords through Writing Legends because your students will sign in directly with their Google, their own Google Gmail login. So that's one way, and the other way is the way I did it with my class, where I didn't go through Google Classrooms, and I set the students up when I registered, and then I went into class admin. I typed in the first name, the surname letter into a list. I can upload with a CSV file, can work as well. So I pop my students' names in, and then the program generates a password and a login for my students. So going on to Kieran, when I go into the activity dashboard, I don't have the button to set a given piece of writing. Okay, so Kieran, if you have a bit of an explore of the reports tab, and when you go into class report and student report, you should be able to see then an option of setting a class task or a student task, activity. Is voice to text available as an option for selected students? Wouldn't this be amazing? It's not an available option at the moment. I've been experimenting with voice to text in my class, and it's definitely something that as Writing Legends evolves, we try and listen to what the teachers are telling us about opportunities that the program could include, and that certainly could be something for us to explore further, but it's not an option at the moment. Michelle's asking, where will we be able to access the webinar to share? Really good question, Michelle. I'm sorry to say that I'm quite new to doing webinars. And so I know it's recorded after this. So I'm wondering if you get an email after this regarding your experience with going on the webinar. And hopefully there's a link there that takes you to the recorded one. I will consult with Shane at Writing Legends about how to get that. But there you go. There's a challenge for me to work out as well. Oh, lovely to have you back, Yvette. That's great. Thanks, Kathy, for your feedback there. If some children in the class have already done a task, is there a way to set it for others still? Absolutely. You should be able to see which tasks have been done by students, and then the ones that haven't, you should be able to set that inside the reports section. If you're having trouble with that, please contact the support in case there's something that they can guide you further. But yes, I've had children where they're doing a task out of their own choice. Then I've decided to set some others that, and I've been able to set that. Class report says coming soon. That's correct. So at the moment, the activity report, and that's my language, sorry, probably quoting the wrong thing there, Kieran. So there's the activity report where you've got all the different activities, and you can go in activity by activity for your class, or you can go into a student report. And so I'll just quickly bring that up now. And that will hopefully also, I'm just looking, there's a question from Vicky. Sorry, I missed the start. Can you tell me how to view by different text types? So I might be able to cover it in the reports, although at the moment that's better seen in the student area, but we're going to bring that across. So in the reports here, so I can look at an activity such as an around the corner race, and I can go into reports. Oh, okay, I'll go back and keep going into student reports. Okay, I've just had my little brain freeze on that. Sorry, if I click on the activity, no, that just brings me to there. Gosh. I've done this earlier tonight. Now I can't remember how to do it. Isn't that funny? Okay. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm thinking I'm not going to solve this in front of you right now, but you can set tasks through this section. And it's just escaped me at the moment. All right, I'll also go back and just double check whether there's something that's not as transparent as it should be for there. Apologies that I haven't helped you with that one. The text type. So going back into that area, you can see that each of these has a tag with it that allows us to know the different text types, what they stand for. This is one way to view it. If I logged out and logged into the student dashboard, they have it beautifully set out where each of them are a button. So all of the narratives are inside one, all of the biographies are inside another. Okay. Can children go back and correct their writing after you've given feedback? Absolutely. We're working really hard to make the process of writing so important and really prioritise that writers go back into their writing regularly, that teachers go back and share and talk at different points in a piece of writing. So we do want them to be able to do that. When you have the students on, there's two options, a toggle on for independent writing and toggle off for when you want to be able to stop them at a certain point. You can go in and give them feedback after they've been drafting and actually just say to them, I need you to do a little bit more in this part before I advance you further forward. And then when you feel comfortable with their writing, you can then advance them into when they're reflecting and reviewing their writing, editing, revising. And then coming soon will be then the option for them to do a simple publish, which will really help celebrate their writing. So yes, at any point they need to be able to go back and edit and critique their writing and then come forward again. And we're able to do to go in and nudge that with our feedback. Carolyn's asked about the foundation to year 2. At this point, our programs are running from year 3 upwards, and I haven't got a quick answer for you in that area, Carolyn. I would probably see that one aspect you could use Writing Legends right now would be using your big screen or a shared screen to model you being a writer and showing them the process of writing and how you make mistakes as you write up and how you generate words that are really special words, and then how you could give feedback and they could suggest some feedback they could give to a piece of writing. So possibly guiding them to see Writing Legends, the aspects of it and what do good authors do. Okay, Kieran, thanks for that feedback. I thought I was going a bit crazy there when I saw the class set and then I couldn't find it. So Shane's just amazing at getting in there and working with the programmers to fix any little bugs up, and we'll have a look and see why I couldn't bring that up to show you the set task again. But for anyone that's interested in setting tasks, that is an option inside the reports tab. When I give feedback to a child, can that only be seen by that child? Yes, that's correct. So the feedback sits in and is attached to their piece of work. Okay. Hey, well, lovely hanging out with you this evening. It's really neat to be alongside you in this because I'm developing my understanding as we go, and I'm really excited about the things that are also evolving inside the program. And I'm starting to see more and more about my students writing and learn more about them as writers. The more that they're generating and the more that they write, the more I get the data around them as well. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. And hopefully we'll see you on a webinar in the future. Okay, bye.